It was so intimate that I would have to ensure that it was of exceptional quality if I were to include my name. In 1989, a 13-year-old in Hollywood, California had an idea while wearing a denim windbreaker. The most explosive new fashion house of the 21st century was established by Mike Amiri, who combined a love of the unique culture of his neighborhood with a talent for creative problem-solving and a vision for the future of luxury. Amiri has transformed his namesake from a collection of 6 products to a global brand that generates $250 million in annual revenue, driven by his dual obsessions with continuous evolution and craftsmanship. And it all began with a single concept: the impact on parents' professional lives. In what ways did your parents' professional experiences influence your professional aspirations? My father has held a variety of positions, including waiter, bartender, and member of the U.S. Army since he and my mother immigrated from Iran. For the most part, my mother remained at home and provided for us. However, my father was never without action. Every task on his laundry list was completed by him. I believe that is one of the things I drew from him: the notion that you are always required to be engaged in something. Avoid idleness. My initial step into the fashion industry. My most significant early supporters are exceedingly straightforward. The solution was to ensure that it was precisely positioned within a Levi's trucker jacket. I was unable to stitch, so I paid my friend $20 to have his mother sew it. His mother sewn it for $20. That was my initial creation. The influence of Hollywood and culture. What are the most enduring effects of growing up in Hollywood on your personality and creative output to this day, when you consider the era in LA in the mid-1980s? Hollywood was a remarkable location due to its mix of culture and music. Graffiti culture was prevalent, and children were skateboarding and BMXing. I was so young that I did not perceive things as raw. Rather, they appeared to be quite attractive. I would stroll down an alley in Melrose, and despite its filth, there was an abundance of graffiti art created by the various factions. I would be awestruck by the beauty of the hues, embracing growth and failure. The most significant concept I have ever possessed is that failures and disappointments are merely illusions, and the true variable is time. If you can achieve as much as possible in a short period and move forward without fear of failure or disappointment, you will continue to learn and develop. How Amiri began in going all in. So you begin to receive these freelance jobs and consulting assignments, essentially assisting individuals who wish to fabricate locally. Yes, it initially began with freelance work, such as an individual's desire to establish a handbag company. It evolved into smaller initiatives, consulting with small brands and larger brands in Los Angeles that would visit the wash houses or some other location. I would engage in freelance product development and consulting. I would appear to have a large agency, but in reality it was just me. They would request that I create these 15 items, and I would arrive with a display of 30 items. They would be taken aback by the presence of 9 designers and would inquire, "What is the size of your team?" I would reply, "We do not discuss the studio frequently," but in reality it was merely me who was ensuring that it functioned. I did not produce all that was satisfactory. I committed an abundance of detrimental actions. During that freelance period, I was able to learn and create on the time of others. At what juncture in this journey were you able to give up your 9-to-5 job and truly transition into the fashion industry? I believe there was a period when I first began to have children. You are aware that you have a family, so you must begin to approach things with a greater degree of seriousness. You cease to contemplate the upcoming year and instead focus on the vision of the next decade. I had been intermittently establishing modest brands and freelancing, but none of them achieved significant success. I entertained the notion that I was eager to devote my undivided attention to this endeavor, to determine whether it was truly suitable for me, and to make a complete commitment. Until that point, I was merely engaging in daily activities and expressing my creativity. However, there was no overarching vision. By the time I had my 3rd child, we had amassed an adequate amount of money, and I was engaged in an internal endeavor. I began to create small items for it, which would ultimately become Amiri. It was predicated on the notion that luxury goods and the concept of exclusivity and luxury are a destination for an aim that few individuals pursue. I preferred to create unique items rather than pursue mediocre items. If I were to invest more effort in the materiality, the fabrications, and the forethought, and subsequently have a platform to showcase them, it would be difficult to refute. Therefore, I created the initial collection for Amiri in a Hollywood basement. Exploring the world with Amiri. From where did you obtain the initial capital to create the initial collection? My wife and I had amassed approximately $30,000 through my freelance work and other sources. I did not require the assistance of 15 individuals to compile a collection, as I was responsible for the majority of the tasks. This is the point at which a cunning strategy was implemented. Rather than personally entering the store, I enlisted the assistance of a few acquaintances who were acquainted with the buyer. I would request that they mention the brand to the consumer without initiating a phone call or attempting to establish a connection with us. "Please bring it up," Consequently, an individual would suggest that they investigate the Amiri brand and they would respond, "Oh, of course." Then 1 week later, it would be brought up by another individual. This generated an illusion of demand. Buyers would become intrigued by the subject matter after hearing it on multiple occasions. Saying no was even more impactful than persuading someone to purchase my parka or sweater. It increased the desire of consumers for the product. Consequently, I utilized that year to enhance the 6 items I possessed: a hoodie, a leather jacket, a flannel, a pair of trousers, and a t-shirt. On record, these were my most successful singles. It served as the foundation for the Parisian runway performances that we ultimately developed. It was fantastic because I was able to concentrate on improving them and gain a greater understanding of the audience and my creative direction. It transitioned from a small rack situated between Rick Owens and Carol Christian Pole to a large rack, a larger rack, 2 racks, and ultimately 3 racks on the men's side. It was the greatest volume of that store for a specific year. I had declined numerous wholesale accounts by that point, which enabled me to determine my preferred location, maintaining an exclusive position in the fashion industry. We had accounts in various countries that were awaiting our attention. The decision was not to establish 100 accounts and become ubiquitous, resulting in an explosion. Selecting the most exceptional products in each region and offering them to them in restricted quantities was the decision. I never desired to return to the situation in which I was attempting to persuade someone to purchase something. I have always aspired to be in a position where I could create something truly exceptional. The unrelenting strive for excellence. There has never been a moment of solace or the notion that we have succeeded. I refrain from using that before retiring for the night. I am anxious before retiring for the night, convinced that I am not performing at a satisfactory level and that I could have done better. I am likely doomed in this way. There has never been a moment in which I felt at ease. The response has consistently been, "Wow, this is significantly larger than it was last year." In 2019, you secured your initial investment from OTB. What were your initial impressions of the advantages and disadvantages? Currently, from the other perspective, what is the sensation? It is akin to engaging in a game of musical chairs when one initiates an endeavor independently. Amiri's uniqueness reigns supreme in fashion. If I wanted to build a good brand, I would evolve it. I chose the longevity of it. I think that's one of the things about having the brand as my name. There has to be a sense of personal integrity there. Since the decision was to expand the silhouette, expand the conversation, and work on different archetypes of who my heroes are, maybe in the 80s, it was an inspiration for skinny rockers. Maybe in the 90s, it was an inspiration for skate kids or artists. I think pigeonholing yourself is sometimes one of the worst things you can do. I wanted Amiri to represent a lifestyle that was true to me growing up in California, me being a part of music and skate culture and creating heroes based on what I knew and what I could relate to. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest content. See you in the next video.